Hey guys, so it has been far too long since I've done a video, and I'm really going to try to do better at that. This time, I'm literally just going to do no intros, no major editing or editing at all, and we're just going to go with it. So, if you've not heard of Gabbie Hanna, I don't know a ton about her, but I think she started off on Vine, got really big there, moved to YouTube, got really big on YouTube, was popular for a while, but then as time went on, people started seeing that she was a very arrogant, selfish, difficult person to get along with. And then eventually, I think around when COVID was bad, maybe, I don't know, she really seemed to just go into a spiral. A mental spiral. I don't remember. She's very open about being okay with smoking weed, but I don't know if she ever said some of the literally insane things she was doing was due to weed, or if she ever really fully addressed that. But people definitely thought that she just took some very heavy things and was acting out very dangerously in certain ways. And I believe after all that kind of transpired and she really treated some people terribly, kind of before that and throughout it, whatever, I think she just kind of stopped being online for a while and then came back claiming she was a Christian and changed. And I think some people wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but there was always some kind of thoughts in the back of people's minds of like, is this genuine? Is this real? And I was definitely one of those people that kind of kept a loose eye on what she's been doing, but nothing super close. And when I saw her comeback video, it was just like, man, something about this doesn't seem true. And now she's posted a video, supposedly, if it's not meant to just be a complete joke, supposedly apologizing to all of the people that she wronged. And it's part of her whole like Christian arc, if you will. And I want to leave space for recognizing that we're all on our own journeys, and our journeys will all look different at different times from each other. I still have things that I need to learn. I'm sorry, I started this, and of course I had a frog in my throat the moment I started. I have things that I still need to learn and grow in. I have things that are weaknesses that have been weaknesses ever since ever. So I don't want to sit here and pretend that I'm some person who has it all figured out and look down on Gabbie, but there are also certain things that it's just like, are you serious? If you're really claiming that you are just this changed person, what are you doing? And so this video is one of those things. And I'm not just trying to jump on the just gossip kind of internet bandwagon and find any kind of gossipy thing to talk about. I think this topic can relate to relationships very well because I'm still learning how to apologize, but I've definitely grown in the realm of apologies. And so I feel like it's a little easier for me to talk about this video, seeing the growth I've even had in my own self with apologizing. And I think what she does here kind of touches on some really helpful things to not do and to keep in mind to not do in relationships. So let's just start the video and then I'll comment probably a lot.
Today is September 10th, 2024, which means exactly 10 years ago today, a decade ago today, I posted my very first YouTube video. It was a Q&A, nothing special except my hair. My hair was absolutely positively majestic, but naturally, when you come across like a big milestone, like a 10-year anniversary, it makes one reflect. So I've been reflecting. And as I've reflected on the past 10 years of my life, my career at large, I feel like I owe a lot of people apologies. So I wrote some notes. I have a list. Okay, so
that was the first thing that I noticed when I watched this video. I watched it like one time all the way through, and then kind of bits and pieces. And there's part of me that can kind of understand the giggling over I've got notes, because like if someone genuinely felt like there are so many people I need to apologize to, just the nerves and the embarrassment of realizing like I literally have to write down all the names so I don't forget someone. I could see that making someone who might have a tendency to giggle when they feel awkward. I could see that make someone giggle, but just the way she did it wasn't like this nervous here we go with a really in-depth, like, heartfelt apology specifically to a whole bunch of people. It was a, I made notes in my cute little journal because I'm that kind of person. Like, that's the vibe that it gave off, which is like, this is not a laughing matter at all. If you have to write down tons of names or tons of notes for who you need to apologize to, it's not funny. It's terrible and embarrassing, but a good idea if someone realizes they should do that, except for the fact that, as we'll see, I don't think it's genuine. So, play.
Bunch of people that I'd like to say thank you and I'm sorry to is anyone I've ever worked with, from collaborators, producers, management, agents, anyone from PA on set to director, special. I'm sorry goes out to MTV and YouTube Originals, because I was difficult to work with. I took a lot of opportunities that I didn't deserve and also had no business doing.
And I don't really know exactly what, like, a body language expert might say the whole means exactly, because I don't know if that could be construed as genuine, just sort of like internal recoiling of memories of things, or if they might say it's a bit of an exaggeration that kind of takes away from the genuine nature of someone's commentary. But just that long pause with the maybe I'm just biased with the whole video, but it all seems very dramatic rather than just a sit down. I've wronged a lot of people. I've spent a lot of years not apologizing for things that people have been telling me I needed to. And here are all the people I want to say I'm sorry to. It doesn't read that way at all. So.
There were a lot of people who kind of, practiced and
Stop
trained
laughing.
and wanted some of those opportunities their whole lives. And I was able to do them with really little to no actual effort in that space. So also sorry to anybody who deserved the opportunity more than me that I took from them based on like social media followers, etc.
Okay, yeah, that really bugged me right there, because I'm going to be really critical here. The way she said that, you could say, and I mean, she might later on kind of touch on this. I will say there were a couple moments that I was like, if this was wrapped into a totally different apology, I would like that. And later on, she might kind of get into just what a terrible person she really was to people on set and such. But saying, sorry, I didn't try to get this role, but I did based on the number of followers I had. Sorry to all the people that deserved it. To me, given everything that she is pretty much known to be, that reads much more as I'm sorry I'm so successful. And that's basically it. It's like, sorry you feel that way. That's really the summation of this whole apology. It's a huge, I'm sorry you feel that way, basically, I think. She could have said simply, or stressed more so, I took roles that I didn't work for, and that was completely unfair and wrong. There are so many other people that worked harder, and they should have had those roles. And not stressed, I got them because of all the followers I have. Like that still seems like a humble brag, and a not humble brag at that. So
this apology covers a wide breadth of people. So
Which
like
is
I said,
what's so
if you've
wrong with
ever worked with me or had an interaction with me at some type of work event and you were unhappy or felt hurt in some way, I'm very sorry. And thank you for the opportunities that I've been given. And
oh, that's another thing. At the end of the other thing, she was just like, etc., etc. I mean, it's just this very laissez-faire, like, sorry-ish, whatever, whoever thinks I should say sorry, I'm sorry. That's the vibe the entire time. And so, like, even just now, like, sorry, my bad. And it's so broad. Whatever she just listed now, and she's going to keep doing it, it's so broad. It's just basically saying anyone who has ever looked at me, if I did something that hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. And again, it's a very, if you felt this way, this very vague way, and if you are this very vague individual, whoopsies, sorry. Not, to, even if she did need to, let's just say she recognized like she was a real pickle to the crew of a lot of people on different sets, she could have said to anyone who was a crew member on XYZ set, I was XYZ way hurtful, I was XYZ way difficult to work with and to deal with, I disrespected you XYZ way, and to all the crew on this set, whatever, I'm truly sorry. Like, that would have worked better as a very generalized thing rather than a to anyone who blah blah blah, if you felt like this, I'm sorry. Like, that's not an apology at all.
The patience and grace that I've been shown that I definitely didn't deserve, and the professionalism as well that I definitely didn't deserve and definitely was not displaying. So thank you, and I'm sorry. In that vein, I also want to say
I did like that. I like that she said she was not displaying professionalism and had not earned the professionalism she was shown. I think that could have been wrapped into a really good apology. And the idea of saying thank you to lots of people who've given you the opportunity you have in the midst of also apologizing, showing gratefulness for that, that is a good idea. She just carries this all off so terribly.
Sorry to anybody who feels like I used them or took advantage of them in any type of collaboration or work setting as well. Whether you helped me out with a project and didn't get your proper flowers or didn't pay you well or at all. A lot of times there was just like a collaboration basis, and I feel like I could have done better with hyping up people that I've worked with and showing appreciation by sharing influence with people who have helped me out.
I don't even know exactly what she means by sharing influence, but when I listened to this the first time, she said didn't give proper flowers. Like, I've heard that phrase used. I think giving proper flowers is just like she said, like giving thanks, giving appreciation, whatever. But just the way she said it, it read more to me as like, if I didn't say all the nice things to you that you really thought I should have, rather than I disrespected you and I belittled you and I'm sorry for that. It's a very like, if all these people felt so annoyed, sure, sorry y'all. Yeah. And the whole like hyping, yeah, anyway.
Literally reading my notes, I was selfish, only cared about how I could benefit. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I got my lick back.
Why are you laughing so much? Now, I would imagine if there's any part of this that is genuine to her, which for all I know, maybe in her heart of hearts, there is a part of her that really truly is sorry, and she's just so steeped in self-absorption that she has to get through all of these layers of like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And so it just turns into laughter. I have no idea, but like the fact that she's laughing so much, reading very serious words like that, those particular words she just read, talking about, I think she was saying she was just so focused on herself, basically. That could have been part of a really good apology, taking ownership for specifically what kind of poor behavior and poor treatment you showed to people. But when you're laughing about it, it means nothing. It doesn't, you could say the most incredible words ever, and if you're laughing about it, it's pointless. Also, if you hear cat meows, it's our orange flavored son upstairs who will scream for anything and everything. So my apologies. He's fine.
I also want to say thank you and I'm sorry to all of my friends, past, present, who I dumped so much negativity on. I was such a dark cloud and was constantly just in something that I know what it's like to be around somebody who's always like in some type of like negative headspace. So thank you to anybody who's been there for me in those times. And I'm sorry for anybody who was affected or brought down by my just complaining. And also in that vein, gossip. I want to say sorry to anybody who,
Again, there are elements of this that could be part of a really good apology. She's making it too vague again to whom she's apologizing to, but I like the fact that she's saying, I complained too much. I was very negative. I know that can be very, I don't really love the fact that she brought another person into it, because again, I feel like she's kind of minimizing in a way her own fault when she's trying a little bit taking some of the focus off herself and trying to focus it on other problematic people. But regardless, like, just stressing, like, I recognize that that's really difficult to handle. I lost my train of thought. We're gonna keep going because I don't want to edit this. I lost my train of thought.
I've spoken out of turn.
Oh yeah, so the terms she's saying, I'm complaining and she's about to get into gossiping. Whoops. That's really great. It's just enveloped in lack of genuineness, whatever that word might be.
Turn behind your back, shared information that wasn't mine to share. I'm sorry. Again, I got my lick back, and this was a big lesson for me in general.
I've never heard the phrase got my lick back. I Googled it and I felt like it kind of meant the opposite of what she was saying. Like, I think it means someone gets someone else back. So maybe she's saying someone got her back, or is she meaning God taught her a lesson? I'm a little unclear on that. And again, regardless of what it means for her, using slang in a situation like this, again, just makes it so surfacey. And so, like, she just wants to get this off her plate so that she can try to get popular again, basically.
Speaking about somebody when they're not in the room in a negative way, or in a way that is overstepping personal boundaries. So that's a big one for me. I feel like I owe that apology to a lot of people from literally my whole life, and especially in my entertainment career. So sorry about that. I genuinely have learned and grown in that area a lot, and am still to this day. It's really hard not to. Oh, I also want to say sorry to anybody.
I mean, that's true. None of us is ever going to probably fully overcome areas that we happen to be weakest in. There will probably always be moments that we are like, oh, I really thought that I had that figured out by God's grace, and I really don't have it as figured out as I thought. So that's true. It's just, oh, I wish she was like 5,000 times more humble.
Who was a subject of a storytime video, or who I shared a personal experience with, or even not a personal experience. Like, anytime I've ever engaged in celebrity gossip or used somebody as a punchline, but mainly the story times, like when I was sharing these personal experiences online for entertainment content factor. Like, yeah, one of my ickiest things, I feel like, which blows because it was also one of my biggest things, right? This is one of the reasons I deleted like all of my videos. I get that comment all the time, like, why'd you delete all your videos? And that was mostly it. It was just not a representation of myself. It was not a representation of Christ. It was not a representation of anybody I wanted to be. And it was.
So there, yeah, she's more consistently now representing God and Christ, or speaking of trying to represent God and Christ, and just themes that she's learned through Christianity that are now affecting her decisions in everyday life now. Which, I mean, I can respect someone who goes back through, if they've been on the internet for a long time and then they have a change of heart, whether or not they change religions or whatever it might be, and they're like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that old stuff that I uploaded. I'm going to take it down because it doesn't represent what I stand for now. I think that's great. I think ideally, if I don't know her well enough to know how much she took down, but if she took down a whole lot of things and didn't address why, which it sounds like maybe she hadn't, I think it's a good idea for people to do a video and just say, I just want to make it clear, I decided to remove XYZ content for these reasons. I wish I had not created that. I don't stand by those types of principles anymore. Sorry, doing an actual like kind of apology, perhaps, if they really felt that they hurt specific people through it, but kind of explaining it, I think would be a good way of handling something like that. It sounds like she just kind of took them down and didn't say anything, which would make sense if she was embarrassed over the fact that she was doing that and hoped people wouldn't notice. Yeah.
It was off the backs of gossip and complaining and telling one-sided narratives and making other people feel victimized and bullied, whether it's anonymous or not. Like, I just put people in a situation where they felt embarrassed and hurt and ashamed. And again, I got my lick back. Like, by scale, anybody that I've ever told a story about and shown a negative light on, I definitely have felt the weight of that. And God humbled me and taught me empathy in that area. So I'm genuinely, wholeheartedly sorry. for what I put you through. It was probably really, really difficult and traumatizing. So I feel you, and I'm sorry.
Just is she trying to say that she went through trauma and difficulty? Because I know people were really trying to figure out when she was having her manic episode, who knows what all was going on. People were trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Has she literally lost her mind? Is it just some kind of drugs that she's on? I don't know if that's what she's talking about. Maybe she's just feeling like people were prying into her personal life too much and telling stories about her that she wasn't comfortable with. So she finally understands what it's like to be on the receiving end of those things. I don't understand the lick back side of things. But it's funny because she mentions learning empathy, and Colleen Ballinger mentioned realizing she needed more empathy. But it's like, I know this is not always going to be true. And I will be the first to say that I've definitely grown in like humility from where I was before in my past. And I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but like, I recognize there are times where you can say something about yourself where it could be perceived as arrogant, but it's just factually looking at how you process things now versus in the past. And it's like, I've changed. So for Gabbie to say she's grown in empathy, I could see that being accurate for some people, but given how arrogant she comes off, I think she's one of those many people that tells themselves they've grown in a certain way and they haven't at all. It's like basically projecting maybe what they wish they were, but it's not true. And I think that is way more accurate for her.
I also want to take this time to say I'm sorry to my family, or just in general people at home who feel like I either capitalized on, shared experiences that shouldn't have been shared so freely, or just projecting anything that I was feeling onto you. I feel like I do that in general, but I think with my family, I've done that a lot. There's a lot of things I could say and want.
Just her tone and her physicality, it's not serious. It's just like, I think I've done that a lot. Sorry, y'all. The sun's in her eyes, like, sorry. Yeah, if you felt that way, yeah, probably not good. Like, it's just none of it is serious. And saying in the previous comments, like, I feel you, that seems very like almost like salt in the wound for the people she hurt, I think, given that it just doesn't, none of this seems deep, to then act like she can like understand where the people were at that she put them through, I can't English, but put them through difficult experiences. It's like, seriously, you don't feel me at all. You don't know. And that's me laughing. I laugh when I get exasperated.
Want to say to my family, which I'm sure I will more in person, hey guys, and talking about my past. I know I'm talking about your past as well. So I'm sorry about that. And thank you for not being too hard on me about it. I'm sorry for not visiting more, for my contribution to any wedges or distance in our relationships. I'm so grateful to be home. I have loved spending the last year or so here, and I feel really just blessed and grateful to have so many people here right off the bat. So
I think I have used the term I'm sorry for my contribution, and that definitely came from a place of me not wanting to take full responsibility for a fault in the past. And I don't know how to feel about that now. I think even in an apology, when you recognize that, okay, I'm not 100% to blame in this, but there is blame, I really feel that it's better to just focus on apologizing for what you need to apologize for, and not say for the part that I played in this, for what I did, the portion that I did, I'm sorry. Because that's an underhanded way of stressing you're also to blame as well. And I'm sure I still don't do this perfectly by any means, but I think it really is best in apologies to do our best to just focus on our side of things. Now, if we do need to have conversations about, I need to make it clear, like, in this situation, you also hurt me, or in this situation, I really wish you had handled XYZ differently. That can be important to have elements of that to apology conversations. But again, I really do feel like it needs to start with us. And then once we focus on ourselves and apologize as much as we can for our own actions, then perhaps, if and when necessary, bringing in the concerns about the other person if necessary, but not focusing on them until we kind of focus on ourselves, if that makes sense.
As soon as I came back, and I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to the years to come now that I am here in Pennsylvania in front of this pile of logs. I love you. And I also have to give the biggest, most like, how could I ever find the words? I need to apologize to all of my fans, anybody who ever supported me, for so many things, being inconsistent, for worrying you, for breaking promises.
Worrying was when she was having her mental breakdown.
Is for being a bad role model, first and foremost, honestly. Like, from the beginning of my career to the end, like, right now I'm deleting so much content. I'm deleting a lot of my music. So I know I'll probably get some questions about, where's the song? Where are these music videos? I took a lot of it down. It was either because of profanity, subject matter, or just like immodesty. Like, I'm embarrassed watching a lot of those videos. I grew a lot. I wish I would have taken more advice when I was coming up in the field. Like, I remember one of my first writing sessions, somebody said to me, like, you can avoid swearing if you can help it. And I was like, no, I want to swear. I'm so edgy, and ignoring even like people telling me that I should like cover up more and stuff. Like, I wish I would have, because now here I am, 33 years old, embarrassed and having to delete a lot of work and effort that I, put into a project.
And I think she did kind of touch on it there. I think it's been obvious that she's and I think she's even said it, she's been very arrogant for a very long time. So I think like I said, I have my own struggles with trying not to be prideful. I have no reason to be prideful about anything. So when embarrassment happens to someone who struggles with pride, and we all do to some extent, I think embarrassment can hit even harder, because it really is a reminder of like, oh, I'm not this person that I've been telling myself that I am, or am wanting to view myself as. I'm really not. And so I would believe that she's probably, if there has been a heart change or whatever's going on that's making her embarrassed about her former work, it's probably hitting harder than she wants to let on, because she only wants people to see the like change in the humility that she's choosing to let them see. There's probably elements of her own thought processes and insecurities that she doesn't ever want anyone to see, because she probably sees that as a weakness. If she doesn't get to define it and set the parameters, then she's probably not okay with it. So she might be like really kind of reeling in ways that she doesn't want people to know, if that makes sense.
No regrets. I learned a lot. And everything is just tuition at God University, time spent at God University, lessons learned. But I'm so sorry for all of the just poor behavior, reckless behavior, self-centered, vain, prideful, just meaningless content. And yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can.
Those are really good words, and I keep on like forgetting comments that I want to make. Not listening to people's input, that is huge. Now, I can't imagine being a massive person on the internet having the input of literally thousands upon thousands of people. You have to learn how to parse through people's thoughts and opinions. And I think I've referenced it before. There really needs to be kind of a categorization system of, here's people obviously who really like what I do and will basically sing my praises, and that's all well and good. Thank you. Not to be flippant, like, thank you, that's very kind of you. Then there's people who are going to give criticisms, and some of them will be very thoughtfully, carefully worded. Some of them will not be as thoughtfully, carefully worded, but all of that is meant to be a helpful critique. And then there will be people who are just angry. I don't know how else to say it, and we'll just say cruel, cruel things. You can completely disregard those people and just assume that they're going through something in their own lives and are enjoying being invisible, and just not let that be taken seriously. So anything from the uber positive to the constructively criticizing, I'm sure it's difficult to know how to manage all of that. But for someone to consistently have a pattern, and I mean, really, you should be getting your input from the people close to you in life that you trust, that have proven themselves trustworthy. But even still, like when you are looking for feedback from your audience online and you are trying to see how is this landing, do they like this kind of content, do they not, it's got to be difficult. But you do need to consistently work towards being open-minded and teachable. It's a crucial trait in everyday life. It's a crucial trait in marriage and relationships. Like, we have to always be teachable, and you have to be teachable even with a massive online audience, despite the fact that you have to view them from a bit of a distance. It is important to not be seen as someone who will not take input, and clearly she was one of those people. So it will be very important for her to work on changing that in the future if she's actually changing. So
to counteract that, I have a sort of constant battle, like literally always, of like, can I disappear into nothing and just like exist, you know, in the woods? And knowing that I've been given a great responsibility that I already fumbled and misused, and needing to use that responsibility more wisely. So yeah.
She always has had, I believe, this grandiose vision of what she's here on Earth for. And I never really know what to make of that, because I mean, I always reference things back to Taylor Swift, but it's just because I find her I've found her to be pretty much the most fascinating celebrity for years. Also very concerning, but fascinating. And I think she's one of those numerous people that has been driven from day one to be something and make something of themselves. And I think she's one of those people that's convinced, I have a purpose in this life that is centered on being front and center to an extent. And I don't really ever really know how to feel about that. Maybe Gabbie's on to something, but kind of aligning your entire life under that presupposition while also claiming that you're changing and wanting to grow and change. I don't see a lot of space being left for with her claiming that she's a Christian, saying, Lord, what do you want in my life? Do you want me just to have a quiet life away from being front and center on the internet, being front and center with art and music and whatever it is that she does? Is there a more, private version of myself that would honor you more? Or are you wanting me to be more front and center, but directing the praise back to you? What do you want? I don't sense that from her. And I think it's because she's scared to give up being in the limelight. And I think I think Adam McIntyre or someone said that she's probably doing this apology video just to try to supposedly get back on people's good sides, to try to make it again online. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So
yeah, I've been a really poor example, and I've been really ungrateful to you. I also want to say a special.
But I will say the words she used of like arrogant and vain and all of that, in a genuine apology, those are excellent words to use, because they're very direct and specific, and they're not sugarcoating her faults.
I'm sorry to any of my patrons on Patreon. Just so inconsistent. Like, yeah, I got to do better. I know I've been saying that for so long, which is the problem. Like, I'm trying so hard. I really am. And I know apologies have to come with action. I really am trying. Like, I'm trying. Like, I need help, like something to make it so that I can be consistent, because I don't have the greatest executive functioning. In fact, I have impaired executive functioning, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
I don't remember what she means. That's probably, I think she was talking about different mental health diagnoses. I don't remember if they were official or just self-determined, because I'm getting stories mixed up of people online. I think some people have like decided for themselves what their issue is, and I don't remember if she supposedly got an official diagnosis of things, and I think that's what she's referencing. And as I'm getting older in life, I do understand that certain things like ADHD or anxiety or autism or different things can absolutely create huge mental roadblocks in people getting tasks done that other people might consider to be just easy, like, or not that strenuous to make sure gets done. So I think there is a gray area with her if she has one of those struggles, where I could understand her needing grace from her audience. But at the same time, There are plenty of people out there in the world that have all kinds of different struggles, that have figured out what they need to do to be professionally, words are not coming to me, but to be very successful in a very professional setting despite the struggle that they have. So if she really does want to be seen as a credible, reliable, changed individual, she can't apparently keep on coming on and being like, hey, sorry guys, haven't figured out how to do this yet. She has to figure out what she has to do to make it work. And it's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be easy, because she's having to potentially work around a brain that is in some ways trying to stop her from doing something. And she has to be like, no, we're doing what I want to do. Even if it's in the weirdest, most backwards way possible, we're doing it. And it doesn't sound like she's taken that level of responsibility on herself. So that needs to change. Otherwise, yeah, apologies mean nothing.
It's so crazy for me to like look back at the stuff that I used to do. I'm like, how did I do that? Because I was such a like machine, just an endless just stream of like work and content, but it was also dumb and bad and meaningless. And that's why it was so.
Sounds like a little bit of a brag, but also sometimes people are just very direct with how they see themselves. So I don't know.
Easy to churn it out. And also I was an NPC because I did not have the Holy Spirit in me, and I was just like operating like in this world, like literally a robot, like work, pay attention to me, make money, like really.
I don't understand the NPC thing. I think that's something that a lot of people are like, you are what? Without Christ in us, without the Holy Spirit in us, we're living for ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean that people who aren't Christians can't do amazing, wonderful things in the world. But it's self-focused, really, at the end of the day, in some way or shape or form. And I mean, we're all selfish. That's, as Christians, that's what we're always trying to fight against, is fighting against just focusing on ourselves and doing what we want. But without Christ, everyone's inherent focus is going to be themselves, really, truly, when you strip everything away. No, Gabbie, you weren't an NPC, and I don't know if you are or not a Christian. I can't officially speak into that. I have some concerns and questions, but you were actively living for self, and I guess you could say like following Satan, I guess. Is that what she's trying to say with an NPC? I really don't understand. But clearly you still want people to pay attention to you and like you. So if you're saying that that was a negative trait before this supposed change of just working and being obsessed with people liking you, you're still to some extent working and being obsessed with people liking you. So yeah, make it make sense to me.
Really needed Jesus. Behold our God seated on his throne. Come, let us adore him. Behold our King. Nothing can compare. Come, let us adore. Oh, speaking of behold.
I'm very confused right now. I hope she's okay. I don't know what just happened there, but I do kind of feel like, if nothing else, she was sort of trying to show off her singing. So, yet again, wanting to be liked, wanting to work and have all the attention on her. Okay.
Our God. I want to record a cover of that, and I also have to say thank you, and I'm sorry to anybody who's literally ever ordered from Look Design, because it has been slow ship times, poor packaging, bad customer service. Like, listen, I know, and I'm so grateful to you. I'm trying so hard. And when I come back with like the next like iteration, I promise I'm gonna do better. Each time does get better. I know it's still bad, but it is getting better, and I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to be more transparent, and just, dude, thank you for sticking around. I'm sorry that I'm not good at this. I'm trying. If I forgot someone.
See, I don't really know the details of what happened with, I think she had designed merch, as people call it. If there was some real catastrophes happening with that, which I don't know the stories, but I assume there could be some major issues that must have happened for people. again, laughing in the apology does not make it seem like you care. It's just like, at least you got their money. Rather than saying, I am so sorry that I did not represent myself well. I did not represent my business well by this. I don't know if it's like a third party company that must have been doing, I don't know how it all works, but just whatever it was that she chose to do, clearly it did not represent herself in a good light. And this apology, where again, she's just like laughing and saying, I suck at this. Sorry, I'm figuring it out. Like, that is not the exemplification of a business owner or a boss, basically, which is kind of how she sees herself. She's self-employed. But again, that's not representative of someone who has a high moral standing, a strong character, a strong resolve to do the best they can by their clientele. It's just someone who just likes to kind of laugh it all off and say, I'll do better next time. I'll figure it out later. It's not okay.
Forgive me. Like, I look back at so many situations and I just feel embarrassed and I feel shame, but then I remember there is no condemnation or shame in Christ and that I've been wiped clean and Jesus forgives me, and I can hope that you guys forgive me, but I can't force that. But I do want to say that if there's anybody out there,
there's definitely truth in that. Just recognizing when we apologize, when we mess things up, we can't control how other people respond. And that's really, really difficult. I have a really hard time with that sometimes. I still have to learn that, speaking of things that I'm still working on learning. Like, I have to be okay with responses that I didn't expect or didn't like. I think that's a very valid point that she makes. And yes, it is a valid point that I think most, if not all, Christians struggle at times with remembering, like, we are forgiven. God's forgiven us. I don't have to consistently live under this burden of shame and guilt and regret and all of that. But there's a difference between just reminding ourselves of the truth that God's forgiven me versus saying, yeah, I did that thing, but God's forgiven me, so I'm fine. Like, it's not like that. I feel like someone just, I don't know if it was Sam Rader, someone recently was kind of saying similar things like that. And I think people many times in Christian circles will use that logic of, I made this terrible choice, but I'm forgiven, so let's move on. And it's like, no, sometimes you have to park in the lane of, I made a terrible choice and it's affected people really terribly. And I have to be okay to, for a while, sit in the discomfort while I let them process, while I let them speak their side of things, while I work with them consistently to figure out how to, as best I can, make things right by them, and to accept the fact that I may have irreparably damaged this dynamic that I have with them. Like, there's a difference between just sitting under the weight of, I'm so guilty, I feel so bad, versus I need to give the other person the respect of taking time to embrace the fact that I really failed them. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry I'm rambling so much.
who feels like they owe me an apology, or feels like maybe they did me dirty a little bit, if we had an interaction or an altercation of any type, I just want you to know I forgive you too. So
that is so, I really couldn't believe that she did that. Like, you could see just the little literal chip on her shoulder. Like, if anyone feels like maybe they did me a little dirty, and again, that is her being like, I'm going to give this fake apology, but also, if there's anyone out there that thinks they hurt me, let me take some of the focus off myself and remind the world that I'm not the only one to blame. Like, you especially in a situation like this where supposedly you've got 5,000 people you need to apologize to, you absolutely don't bring in any mention of other people's failures. But of course, she likes to try to take the moral high ground and be like, for anyone who might think that they maybe hurt me, I forgive you too. And just everything about her tone, her body language, everything is just very kind of flippant. And again, she's trying to heighten herself. I believe that her entire career has been doing everything she can to feel like she's better than, and that is my concern about how genuine all of this is also many times people will use religion of any kind to make themselves feel like they're better than everyone else. And I think it's highly possible that's exactly why she's jumping into this Christian arc, because now she can feel like she's got answers that other people don't have, which makes her feel better about herself. So.
There's a question on whether or not we have beef. We absolutely do not on my end anyways. I love...
She's going to say, I love everyone. And anyone who says I love everyone, for the most part, I don't trust them. It's usually from people who are actually real pickles. The irony. But it doesn't to me seem in this video that she's saying, if anyone has beef with me, please know that if you need space to air your grievances, for me to genuinely apologize directly to you, for you to be heard and respected for once, please know that I welcome that. She's just saying, if anyone thinks we have beef, we don't. Not at least on my end, but we don't. And she's trying to like set the record straight according to herself, rather than humbly providing space for people to be hurt. Kind of like I was saying before, like sometimes you have to sit in that lane, as awful as it is, of saying, I hurt you, what do you need in this moment?
Literally everyone. I love you all, even when it hurts, even when it's hard. I love everyone. I forgive everybody because my God, Jesus Christ,
who do you need to forgive?
Loved me and forgave me when I did not deserve it and before I even asked. So I could not hold any unforgiveness in my heart, and I want to apologize for all the years that I've held unforgiveness.
See, if people, and people are starting to call her out, and I would be very curious to know if she does a response to that, what her response will be. Because it's very easy for people to say, I love everyone, but then when those people actually get confronted about something, many times, they tend to get very defensive because they think that they love everyone when their own sins are not being pointed out to their face. But then they start to not love people so much once those people start saying, excuse me, I have a question about what you just said. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting.
In my heart, whether that's friends, family, colleagues, enemies. Whoa, scary.
Not funny. Not okay.
September 11th is tomorrow. I'm not sure if you guys are watching this or if I get this uploaded today, the 10th, or tomorrow, the 11th. Either way, I want to say a quick prayer. As you know, God, it is...
Okay, yep. And the rest of this was just a prayer, which we are absolutely not going to listen to because to me, again, that seems very self-aggrandizing and very... just let's listen to me pray, me being the wonderful person that I am. So yeah, that was a lot of rambling on my part. I'm very sorry. I truly am. I wish I was more concise. So to kind of just sum everything up, relating this back to relationships, dating, marriage, whatever it is, I have a lot that I'm still learning, and I shouldn't do this. This is a very, I think body language experts usually say this is not genuine. So I will not put my hand on my chest. I have a lot to learn still about apologizing well and handling conflict well, but I also know from my own past that I've grown a lot. It's just so crucial to make sure that if we sense something that might be causing conflict or something that might become a conflict, that we have calm, open, humble discussions with whomever it might be, the conflict might be with or about, and recognize, like she said, I mean, she was true in saying, it was true that, I can't English, she was correct in saying that in those conversations, we have to be willing to accept responses that we don't expect or like, and then move forward from there. But we have to always keep the other person's value front and center. And that's how blow up arguments happen, and not speaking to people for days or weeks or months or years happen, is when we stop seeing the value of the other person and let our own emotions take over. So it's crucial to also, in the midst of every conflict of any kind in relationships, to just always remind ourselves of how valuable this other person is, and how our end goal is not to be right, not to feel validated, but to have the best relationship we possibly can with this individual, especially specifically in marriage. Now, obviously, friendships aren't always meant to continue. Sometimes conflicts and tensions are actually a sign that it needs to end. And so obviously there's times where we have to be okay with that. But again, and this is something that I'm definitely not great in yet. If we can tell that something is a sign that this needs to end, we still have to figure out how to do that with respect towards the other party, and still showing as much value as we can to them while realizing this needs to not be part of my life at this point or for now. And it sounds like Gabbie did absolutely none of that in her past, and it sounds like she's really minimizing how terribly she treated so many other people in her past. And I think now people are commenting on this particular video she uploaded saying, like, this is not an apology. I just don't feel any more validated now than I did before. You're not even sorry to me. Like, it'll be interesting, but I hope that if she's actually having a heart change, her next step is to say, let me create an open space for you to feel the respect that you deserve. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling, but hopefully that was somewhat interesting, and I will talk to y'all later. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.